Last episode, I drew Muhammad. This was not out of religious intolerance or because I wanted to be offensive. It is because censorship is wrong. If you don't think it's okay to draw Muhammad, then you don't do it. But do not take away other people's rights to their freedom of speech, because free speech is the bedrock of all liberties. Free speech is the people's defense against bad government. Politicians who err should be subjugated to unfettered criticism. When critics are censored, it helps authoritarian regimes justify their injustice and intolerance. As Nobel Prize winner Amartya Sen pointed out, no democracy with free press ever endured a famine. Free speech is the spearhead of understanding. Taboo is its enemy. When China's government orders economists to offer optimistic forecasts, it guarantees its own policymakers will be ill-informed. When we can no longer freely discuss amongst each other, it results in no longer understanding of fellow human beings and the world around us. It will lead to misinformation and mismanagement, disunity and suppression. Free speech is the engine on which science runs. Imagine if Galileo never questioned the church's belief that the earth was in the center of the universe. Imagine if Isaac Newton was never allowed to create his theory on gravity. What if Einstein was forbidden from creating his theory on general relativity? Do we truly want to live in a world where our ideas are not questioned? Where someone we've never met tells us what to say, what to feel and what to think? Freedom of speech is the right to sometimes say things that other people don't like. It is accepting that, even though you don't agree with someone, you still allow them to say it. No person, no religion, no idea is so important that we can usurp the rights of another human being. Of course, there are limits to free speech. Child pornography, bullying or shouting "kill the Jews" to an angry mob outside a synagogue should never be allowed. Free speech is about expressing your opinion, not about hurting other people or inciting violence. Answer questionable speech with more speech. Win the argument without resorting to force. And never try to silence views you disagree with. Some of you might say, what is stopping anyone from discrimination? What if people could once again pick up the Nazi flag? What if we could once again openly discriminate? To that I answer, free speech defends itself. When you are racist, sexist or homophobic, there will be a backlash of those pointing out how bad such discrimination is. In the United States, African Americans were discriminated based on the color of their skin. This led to millions of people speaking out against discrimination. Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks used their free speech to combat such hatred. In India, Gandhi used his speech to bring to light the immoral actions of the British to the world. He fought the British hatred with peaceful speech, and in doing so liberated his homeland. We must be allowed to say offensive things because at one point the notion of equal rights for all ethnicities was offensive. The notion of equal rights for women was once offensive. The notion of equal rights for LGBT community is still offensive to many. When the first speech is censored, the first thought forbidden, the first freedom denied, it changes us all irrevocably. The first time anyone's freedom is trodden on, we are all damaged. Surrendering our freedom of choice, usurping the rights of another, submitting ourselves to censorship. That is true evil, and we can never submit to evil. Do you agree with me? Is censorship this bad, or do you have a different opinion? Let me know in the comments below. I will be reading each and every comment. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.